Mrs. Ugochi Daniels, Deputy Director General for Operations, International Organization for Migration IOM, has called for strategic partnership from the federal government to achieve more meaningful growth in tackling humanitarian challenges. Mrs. Daniels made the call in her address at the official inauguration ceremony of the IOM Country Strategy for Nigeria from 2023 to 2027 in Abuja. She explained that over the past 2 decades of operations in Nigeria, IOM had proven to be an indispensable operational partner on human mobility, developing effective responses to shifting dynamics of migration.
We've designed our programs in view of the long-term social and economic impact on migrants, IDPs, and communities, and in a manner that protects and preserves the environment for future generations. And of course, the youth are at the center and are the current generation and future leaders who will shape global migration. And for Nigeria, 63% of its population is under 24 years old. And so we've mainstreamed youth inclusion and participation in the strategy to make sure that every young person in Nigeria is empowered to achieve their full potential. In the next 5 years, IOM will build youth capacity for resilience and work to enhance their civic participation so that they can contribute to the development of their communities and become agents of positive change.
Also speaking, Mr. Matthias Schmally, UN resident and humanitarian coordinator in Nigeria, commended the organization for its humanitarian services in the Northeast, which has made positive impact.
You are a major actor in the Northeast. You know, we all know that there are more than 2 million internally displaced people, and that's part of the migration caseload in a challenging sense. And I have seen for myself a number of times both the humanitarian response you give to people in camps. You play a major role in supporting government in managing the many IDP camps, but also, as we just heard from the Deputy Executive Director, moving it along into more of a developmental side. I was privileged to see in Adamawa State a durable solution project that you are driving. The floods last year, as we all remember, it was the worst floods in 10 years. And what was interesting traveling around the country, in part with IOM colleagues, was to understand that there are climate change IDPs in this country. So it's another example to illustrate you really work across very different caseloads of needy people, and it was a great privilege to travel around with IOM colleagues in finding out what the UN can contribute to address the needs of people affected by climate change, the floods, including those who were displaced and who on an annual basis actually get displaced. Your country's strategy indeed is closely aligned, if not derived from the cooperation framework. I think that's part of how we try to work more united as United Nations, working as one, and I look forward as you embark on implementation of this at the same time as we have started the new cooperation framework, that we continue many years as UN working with you as IOM as an important partner.
Meanwhile, Mr. Clem Agba, Minister of State for Budget and National Planning, extolled IOM for its role in promotion of international cooperation on migration issues and humanitarian assistance to migrants, including refugees and IDPs. Agba was represented by the Director, Department of International Cooperation, Dr. Lanre Adekanye. He said the previous IOM's Global Strategy Vision 2019 to 2023, which just expired, articulated the organization's planned emergency responsibility.
The previous International Organization for Migration Global Strategy Vision 2019 to 2023, which just expired, articulated how IOM planned to meet emergency responsibility, including the mandatory role of UN Network on Migration as outlined in the Global Compact for Migration. That was commendable as it addressed the humanitarian challenges and harnessed the positive outcomes in economic development of Nigeria in terms of humanitarian issues, which Nigeria has developed. The current IOM country strategy for Nigeria 2023 to 2027 is a 5-year approach to reinforce the government's governance capacities and increase migrants' resilience to migration and mobility. This will provide a framework for responding to the migration and displacement challenges and identify priorities for actions to guide IOM response to the needs of government of Nigeria, its population, displaced persons, as well as migrants, migration-affected host communities, and other relevant stakeholders.